The new Audi Q8 Vorsprung comes in at just under £100,000 new with no spec options. That is a lot of money for an SUV Audi. So today I'm going to look at 10 cars that you can buy for under £100,000 that are all some of the best looking cars for that kind of money. Yes, 100k is a lot of money. I stand by that, of course. However, less than an Audi SUV. Hit like if you want to see more like this, subscribe to the review. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Let's kick off with the car that arguably has the most collective acceptance as being beautiful, the Alfa Romeo Giulia Sprint GT, which is also by far the oldest car on the list. That means that despite the fact this car was built to be a fast sports coupe in its day, today it's the slowest car on this list, thanks to its 1.6 litre inline-4 engine, which makes 108 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 10.7 seconds. Now, I personally have driven a baby version of this car, the GT Junior, which was an absolute pleasure to drive. It almost looks as stunning and gives you a similar classic Alfa experience for a fraction of the price of this. But then this car is supposed to be the cheaper version of another more legendary car, the Sprint GTA. The GT did get a midlife facelift though, which is available in our price range, the Veloce, and there is no doubting that it's a head turner with its exceptional looks, so it's probably worth the 90 to 100 grand it will probably cost you to get into one of these. Just remember it's a classic car, so expect to treat it as such. If you're a fan of the channel, you know I'm a big fan of rallying from pretty much all eras, so for that reason the next two cars this list should come as no surprise, as here we have the Ford Escort RS Cosworth, a car that tore up in the World Rally Championship during the Group A era and has gained an incredibly devoted following of fast forward and rallying lovers. It came with a 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine, making 227 brake horsepower, which would get it to 60 in 6 seconds, not bad for a car from the mid-90s. This road car was in fact the homologation special for that rally car and is most well known for that whale tail wing, which you could actually spec off of the car, but that would have been a terrible decision based on the prices of these things nowadays. I think this is my second favourite looking Ford ever, behind the RS200. These run you around £65,000 at the bottom end these days, which is a crazy thing to think about, and they do go up to around 100k, where you'll get a 1996 model with 60k on it. On to rally car number 2 now, as next up we have one of the winningest examples of all time, the Lancia Delta HF Integrale Evo and Evo 2, a car which less than 10 years ago you could get for around 30 to 50k, but today will run you a minimum of around £78,000, with 100k getting you a 1994 model with 50,000 miles on the clock. For that money you'll be getting not just an incredibly beautiful 90s hot hatch, you'll get a 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine that makes 215 brake horsepower and is up to 60 in 5.7 seconds. The Evo 1 arrived in 1991 and the Evo 2 followed it up in 1993, with a few key mods to try to make the perfect formula. Both cars are wide with boxy 1980s style arches despite rocking up in the 90s, and the interiors are like a time capsule back to a much cooler time in the history of hot hatches. Considering the love for homologation special Lancias before the brand took a strange turn, and the prices of the Delta S4 and 037 road cars, I don't imagine these will be cheaper than an Audi SUV for much longer. I would have had the 911 991 GT3 on this list, which I genuinely think is one of the best cars you can buy for under 100 grand, but at the same time it is effectively a 911 with a body kit and spoiler, from an aesthetic perspective at least. So instead I decided the better option would be the Porsche 718 Spyder, a properly lovely variant of the Boxster. It comes with a 4-litre flat-6 engine which makes 414 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.3 seconds. If I was buying a 718 within our price range, it would be the Cayman GT4, which is the hardtop equivalent of this car, but this Spyder is definitely the better looking car visually. The Cayman I'd have for the purpose of track driving, but being honest, that's why the Spyder makes so much more sense, given you're definitely not going to get the Cayman out on track enough, and the Spyder still benefits from the 911 GT3 brakes and suspension, and GT3 RS dampers, ABS and stability control. They'll run you around £79,000 at the bottom end now, and 100k is enough for a 2022 model with 10k on the clock. This might be my favourite looking car on the list, not necessarily my favourite car all in, but absolutely a stunner in my books, the TVR Sagaris, a car that was built to cause severe distress to everyone involved, with pure Blackpool savagery, including the fact that it has no driver aids. What it does have though is a 4-litre inline-6 engine producing 406 brake horsepower, which you get to 60 in 3.7 seconds. Pretty mad for a car with no traction control. It looks like the T350, which is related to, that has been aggressively attacked by an axe-wielding maniac and come out on top. It has genuinely iconic features like the speed bubble on the roof to fit a race helmet under, the uncut vents on the wings, the side exit rear exhaust, and the clear rear spoiler. It's a proper car, and absolutely a dream car for me that still costs less than an Audi Q8. These have been almost entirely stagnant in price for around 5 to 6 years now, starting at around £70,000, with most sitting at under 90k when they do become available. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have, then do hit the like button and subscribe as well if you're new, and let me know in the comments down below, would you rather have the brand new Audi Q8 SUV or one of these 10 cars? And if it was one of these 10, which one would it be? This isn't just a beautiful looking car, it's a beautiful sounding one. The second generation Aston Martin Vanquish, thanks to its 5.9 litre V12 engine that puts out 568 brake horsepower, the most on this list, taking it to 60 in 3.7 seconds, which is pretty aggressive for a Grand Tourer, and in my books, I would probably put this at supercar status. While the first gen Vanquish was designed by the legendary Ian Callum, this second gen came from Marek Reichman, the same man responsible for cars like the Aston 177, the DBS, and even the Vulcan, all three of which are properly attractive cars in my books. And you can see some of those 177 and DBS looks in this car, as it was an evolution of the latter and inspired by the former. Of course, the shape is typically Aston, but it's somehow more muscular, and the stance is sublime. Add on the excellent equipment it comes with, like ventilated carbon ceramics, and you're laughing in one of these versus that Q8. These are only around £56,000 the bottom end, and 100 grand will get you a 2016 model with 9,000 miles on it. In fourth on the list, we have, in my opinion, the best looking recent AMG to come from Mercedes, the Mercedes AMG GTC. I would choose the exceptional looks of this AMG over the GTR, GTR Black, GTR Pro, and all the rest. They just got the GTC exactly right in my books. It also comes with a 4 litre twin turbocharged V8 engine for good measure, which makes 549 brake horsepower and does 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds. This car has been named a super roadster, though it does actually come as both a coupe and convertible. The convertible, however, with the roof down, is by far the best looking in my opinion, with the wider arches over the standard AMG T absolutely shining with the roof down. In fact, it's so wide that many reviews noted it isn't really the best car for our tight roads here in the UK. It does come with all the best bits from the GTR 2, like the 4-wheel steering, EDIF, suspension, and louder exhaust, and it's only slightly less powerful. 70 grand is the minimum you spend to get into one of these, and 100k gets you a 2020 example with 20,000 miles on the clock. If you ask me what Ferrari I would buy for under 100 grand, it would be the 599 every single time. It's an amazingly good looking car, underratedly good looking in my opinion, and what makes it all even better is that it comes with the engine out of literally my current favourite car of all time, the Enzo. That's a 6 litre V12 block producing 612 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 3.6 seconds. It would be rude if the 599 wasn't a beautiful looking car, considering it's a Pininfarina design, and more specifically a Jason Castriota design, the same man responsible for the stunning Maserati Gran Turismo, the Ferrari P45 Pininfarina, and even the SSC Tuatara. The 599's flying buttress style C-pillars are becoming increasingly iconic looking, and they have genuine aerodynamic prowess as well. Add on the typically lovely Ferrari interior, the long bonnet to host that front mid-engine, and you have a properly lovely looking car. That front engine has also helped to keep the prices lower, as these are listed anywhere from around £72,000, with 100k getting you a 2009 model that's done around 20,000 miles. I find it very hard to choose which car I would have off of this list, as legitimately I'd be after most of them, but the Lotus Exige Cup 430 is a proper track weapon, which is right up my street, with its 3.5 litre supercharged V6 Toyota engine, which makes 430 brake horsepower like in the name, and does 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds, making it the most aggressive version of the hallowed S3 Exige. Like the Sagaris, I'm a sucker for an aggressive and purposeful looking car, which is exactly what this is. Having been in one, none of this car is focused on making the driver feel comfortable, and instead it's focused on making them feel like a hero. The sills are comically large considering how low the roof is, and it's impossible to get in and out of with any kind of dignity, not that you'd have much with that massive wing and the sound of that supercharged V6. These start at around £90,000, making it the most expensive car on the list, and 100k gets you a 2019 model around 12,000 miles on the clock. Taking the top spot on this list is the baby McLaren, the 570S, which is depreciated pretty nicely down to being among the cheaper cars on this list, as it starts at around £70,000, with 100k getting a 2018 model with 23,000 miles on it. That's excellent news because I've always loved the look of McLarens, and this one comes with a typical Macca 3.8 litre twin turbocharged V8 engine, which makes 562 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 3.2 seconds. I think McLarens are some of the most supercar looking supercars available on the market, so even though this doesn't come from the brand's super lineup, it is far too exotic to simply be called a sports car. It even borrows design features from the hallowed P1, particularly around the rear of the car, not to mention sharing the same engine of course, and given it will manage 204 miles per hour, it's not just a great looking car, it will absolutely go. And though yes, in the past people have complained about McLaren's service, if we're talking about just aesthetics, the interiors on these are stunning with a healthy portion of carbon fibre, and the exteriors are to die for. And so there you have it. Would you have that Audi Q8 or one of these 10 cars? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. If you want to see some more very good looking cars for a much cheaper price range, under £20,000 instead, then do click up here, subscribe as well down here. Huge thanks to you guys for watching, the Patreon support, and I'll see you in the next one.